as the interim budget for the year 2024 has been presented by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and the economic survey for the year 2024 has not been presented as this is a election year. So instead of the economic survey, a detailed document that is the Indian economy, a review January 2024. So this document has been presented, and in this special edition of Economy Primer, and I am Aisha Singh, we will be covering this detailed Indian economy, a review section through MCQs. So we will be covering 9 plus 1 MCQ in this. So let's begin. So the first question, that is the first MCQ, is consider the following questions about the growth rate of the Indian economy. Growth rate of the Indian economy. So there are 4 statements given, and the question is asking how many of the statements given are correct. So let's read them. First, it contracted during the COVID-19 pandemic from its then existing levels. Contracted during the COVID-19 pandemic from its then existing levels. So we all know that the Indian economy, when the COVID-19, that is the COVID pandemic started, and especially the first wave and the second wave, and especially the year of 2019, 20, 21, 22, when the first and the second wave crippled the whole world and especially India, all the physical activities it contracted. So the Indian economy saw one of the lowest phases of its economic times till now after independence. So at that point of time, the Indian economy contracted. So it contracted during the COVID-19 pandemic from its then existing levels. So this is correct. Then second statement, it recorded double-digit growth for 2 consecutive years after recovery from the pandemic-induced shock. Now the important word here is double-digit growth. Double-digit growth. So even though the physical activities have now resumed, and in the year 2023-24, the physical activities is almost at its previous levels, but still the double-digit economic growth has not happened. So you, while reading the question, you need to find the important words where you need to focus. Even though if you do not know the correct exact statement, you will be able to, if you are able to identify the important words, then those important words will get you to the answer. So the important word here is double digit growth. So this statement becomes wrong. Third, it recorded single digit growth in the immediate next year of the pandemic, but grew by double digit in the next year. Double digit in the next year. So this statement, you can say half will be confusing you. So it recorded single digit growth in the immediate next year. This you might not be able to know that whether this is right or this is wrong. High chances are that it is right. But grew by double digit in the next year. Now double digit again is a catch. So this statement is also wrong because Indian economy did not grow by double digit. Then fourth statement, it grew by 4% in the year immediately following the COVID pandemic and by 5.8% after that. So it is asking how many of the statements given are correct. So the correct answer for this question is option A, that is only one. So the only one statement which is correct is the first statement. Rest all are incorrect. Like after the pandemic induced contraction in fiscal year 21, the Indian economy recorded 2 years of above 7% growth. So it is talking about the 7% growth, above 7% growth. It is not in double digits, and looks set to repeat it for the third year in fiscal year 24. So it was above 7% but not double digit. So the correct answer for this question is option A. That is only one. Now second question, consider the following economic activities. So there are 7 economic activities given. Which of the above pairs correctly indicates growth in the economy? Growth in the economy. Growth in the economy means that the economy is doing well, that the economy is accelerating, things are doing well. So let's see the 7 aspects. So first, decrease in the unemployment rate. Now growth in the economy. What does growth in the economy indicates? Decrease in the unemployment rate. So if the unemployment rate is decreasing, it means that the economy is doing well. So this is correct, because if the economy is doing well, then employment will be generated and unemployment will come down. Second, increase in the volume of e-way bill generation. Now what is e-way bill? E-way bill, we should all know that when interstate movement of goods takes place, then the e-way bill generation takes place. So if interstate movement of goods is taking place and is increasing, it means that the economy is doing well. So this is also correct. Third, increase in rail freight traffic. Now this is also correct. If the rail freight traffic will increase, it means that things are doing well. There is more movement of goods from one place to another place. So what is happening next is decrease in port cargo traffic. Now this is wrong, because decrease in port cargo traffic, if growth is taking place in an economy, then the port cargo traffic will increase, it will not decrease. Because the port cargo traffic will increase, it means that things are going out, that is export, and things are coming in, that is import. So this is wrong. Then increased steel consumption. Now this is also right. If growth is taking place, it means infrastructure will be built, capital expenditure will be done. So steel consumption will also increase. Then decreased cement production. Now this is also wrong. Instead of decreased, it should be increased, because if growth will take place, capital expenditure will increase, infrastructure will increase, the making of big buildings will also increase. So overall the cement production will also increase, because the development will take place, then urbanization will take place, industrialization will take place. So overall growth and the increase cement production has to be there. Then increase in air travels. Now this is also correct. Then which of the following pairs correctly indicates growth in the Indian economy? So it was 6 has to be removed and 4th has to be removed. So it is 1, 2, 3, 5 and 7. So 1, 2, 3, 5 and 7. So the correct answer is option C here. So let us see this. The correct answer is option C, as we have done. The unemployment rate has declined, as we just read it, because if the growth will take place, employment will increase. Economic activity continues to rise. Then the volume of e-way bill generation continues to grow steadily. Then rail freight traffic and port cargo traffic are growing. Both are growing. Then the infrastructure creation and demand for housing is driving construction activity. So if houses has to be made, then cement production has to be more. Then increased steel consumption and cement production. So this is what will denote growth in an economy. So the correct answer is option C. Now next question. Which of the following statements about the sectors of the Indian economy is not correct? Is not correct. So there is A, B, C, D. So let's read them out. And it is A. Share of manufacturing in 2014 was less than 20% and is expected to remain below 20% in 2024 as well. We have to talk about not correct. Now what is happening is that in India, manufacturing has always been a topic where every government has talked about, because we need to improve when it comes to manufacturing sector, and India is not a manufacturing hub, while India's neighbor China is a huge manufacturing hub. So share of manufacturing in 2014 was less than 20%. This is correct, and is expected to remain below 20% in 2024 as well. And the topic or the scheme of Atmanirbhar Bharat is, or made in India, is a boost to the prospect of manufacturing or increase of manufacturing in India. So this statement is correct. Now share of agriculture in 2014 was more than 35% and is expected to fall below 25% in 2024. Now we all know that agriculture in our economy with regard to the employment point is the biggest employment provider in our country. But when it comes to the share of the GDP, agriculture is not the highest. It is the services sector which is the highest. So share of agriculture in 2014 was more than 35%. No, it was not more than 35%. It was around 31 to 32% and is expected to fall below 25% in 2014. No, it is not expected to fall below 25%. It is expected to be around 27%. So this statement is wrong. Now third, share of services in 2014 was more than 45% and is expected to be more than 50% in 2024. So when it comes to the services sector, so if we will divide the Indian economy into three sectors, so then there is agriculture, there is manufacturing, there is services. So agriculture is the biggest employment provider but does not contribute the same percentage to the GDP, while services, the employment provider is not highest but it contributes the maximum to the GDP production and it contributes around 45 to 50% to the GDP. So the third statement is also correct. D, services and manufacturing together constitute more than 66% of the Indian economy in terms of value. Now this is absolutely correct because services sector is between 45 to 50%, while manufacturing sector is around 15 to 18 or 20%. So that becomes around 66 or more than 66%. So the statement which is not correct is option B. Now let's see this. So this correct answer is option B. So the share of manufacturing in total gross value added in volume terms has increased from 17.2% to 18.4%. While if we talk about the share of services in total GVA in volume terms, it has risen from 51.1% to 54.6%. So services is more than 50%. So it is option B, which is the correct answer, or out of all, which is the not correct statement. Rest all are correct. Now question 4. Consider the following statements. How many of the above given situations will be helpful in reviving a faltering economy? Reviving a faltering economy means that if the economy is not doing well, what are the steps that can be taken to revive the economy, to get back economy onto the same level as before? Now there are 5 situations given, so we need to see. First is helpful in reviving a faltering economy. Increase in domestic private consumption. Now increase in domestic private consumption, geopolitical shocks due to war. Now increase in domestic private consumption, it will help in reviving the economy, because if the consumption will increase, see what is happening is everything in economy works on the supply chain demand. Now if the demand will be high, then supply has to be there. So if the supply will be there, people are demanding, it means the movement of money or the economy is moving in a cyclical manner. Then if the money is moving, it means the logistical sector is also has to work, the supply chain will also have to work, the employment generation will also take place. So increase in domestic private consumption, this is correct because it helps in reviving the economy. Second, geopolitical shocks due to war. This is wrong, because if war takes place, then logistical support, the supply chain does not work and it cripples the economy, it does not revive the economy. Monetary tightening of US Federal Reserve, this will also not help, because if the monetary tightening of US Federal Reserve will take place, then the stock market of a country can be crippled down, because all the FPIs will start to take away their money, and this will also lead to the rise of the interest rates. Then hawkish monetary policy by RBI, this will also not happen, because in the hawkish monetary policy of the RBI, the interest rates get risen. So if the interest rates by the RBI will increase, then people will not have the money left much in their pockets, so that they will be able to invest or they will be able to spend in the economy. Sluggish global demand. So this will also not help, because if the demand will not be there, then supply will also not be there. And if the supply and the demand will not match, then in the end the economy will cripple down, because both the sectors will not be at par with each other. the demand will be there, the demand will be less while the supply is more. So in total, the economy will not be able to move. The circulation of money in the economy will not take place. So how many of the above given situations will be helpful in reviving a faltering economy? Out of all, it is only one. So the correct answer is option A, that is one only. Now let's see this. So the share of private final consumption expenditure in GDP at current prices increased from an average of 58.4% in the 8 years preceding the onset of the pandemic to 60.8% in the last 3 years. So the consumption expenditure has increased from 58.4 to 60.8%. So this shows that increase in domestic private consumption, it plays a role in the reviving a faltering economy, because during the COVID pandemic time, the economy faltered. Now next question, it talks about, consider which of the following statements best describes the term fragile five in the context of emerging economies. So in the context of emerging economies, there is a term which is known as fragile five. So when we talk about emerging economies, what all country names which comes to our mind? You can say like China, India, South Africa, the BRICS nations. So the BRICS nations was also formed on the basis of the fastest growing economies or the emerging economies. So there are 4 statements given. Let's see them. A group of economies known for their robust and sustainable investment practices. B. Economies facing macroeconomic challenges such as high fiscal deficit, current account deficit, and inflation. C. Economies characterized by an excessive reliance on domestic consumption for economic growth. D. A coalition of nations demonstrating resilience to external economic shocks. So see, even if you do not know the term, go by the words of the terms. Like for example, fragile five. Now what is fragile? Fragile means something which is not very strong, something which is soft, something which does not have much strength. So fragile five. Now let's see. Fragile, a coalition of nations demonstrating resilience to external economic shocks. So if it is fragile, how will it show resilience? So this becomes wrong. Now, economy is characterized by an excessive reliance on domestic consumption for economic growth. Okay. Then, economy is facing macroeconomic challenges such as high fiscal deficit, current account deficit, and inflation. A group of economies known for their robust and sustainable investment practices. Now, this is a characteristic of developed economy. It is not a characteristic of a fragile economy. So, this also gets eliminated. So, I'm telling you a way that even if you do not know the meaning, how can you get to the question? By just being very aware and reading the questions and reading the statements properly. So, fragile means something which is weak. Now, read the second statement properly. It says, economy is facing macroeconomic challenges such as high fiscal deficit. High fiscal deficit means that the economy is not doing well, that the economy is weak. Then, high current account deficit. So the current account deficit is when the manufacturing side of the country is not doing well and it is importing more and exporting less. Then inflation. Inflation is a sign of a weak and a flattering economy. So the fragile five, the correct statement or the answer is option B. Now let's see this. So in 2013, the Indian economy was included in the infamous club of fragile five emerging economies. Infamous, they're not famous, they're infamous. So they are fragile five emerging economies. The term fragile five was coined in year 2013 to refer to a group of emerging market economies that were deemed vulnerable to external economic shocks. So at that point of time, it was thought that India as an economy is not very strong, that it can absorb the external economic shocks. But now if we see Indian economy, we are talking about, we have become the 4th largest stock market of the world. We have just surpassed Hong Kong. Now when we talk about the GDP, then we are at 5th level and we have surpassed UK and France recently. So the concept gained attention during a period of global economic uncertainty and capital outflows from emerging market. The fragile 5 countries were identified based on their significant current account deficit. It was their high inflation rates and other economic vulnerabilities. So the original fragile 5 countries were Brazil, India, Indonesia, South Africa and Turkey. And Brazil, India and South Africa are also a member of the BRICS grouping. So the correct answer is option B. Now next question, that is question 6. Consider the following statements. We have to talk about the correct statements. So there are 3 statements given. First, the gross enrollment ratio for girls has more than doubled in 2010-2020 decade. More than doubled in a decade. Okay. Second, the private non-financial sector's credit to GDP ratio has increased significantly from 2010 to 2018. Then third, the monthly gross collections under GST regime approximately doubled from fiscal year 2018 to 2023. It is using the word approximately doubled. It is not using the word exactly doubled. There's a difference between both. Exactly means you will say 9, 18. Approximately is if instead of 18, if there is 16, 17, then also it would be considered fine. We have to talk about the correct statements. So first, the gross enrollment ratio for girls has more than doubled in 2010-2020 decade. Enrollment means that the number of girls who are coming to school or their names has been enrolled, that these many students have taken admission into the school. So the gross enrollment ratio for girls is 29.7 in 2020 vis-a-vis 12.7% in fiscal year 10. So this is correct, has more than doubled. So this is correct. Second, the private non-financial sector's credit to GDP ratio has increased significantly from 2010 to 2018. Now let's see this. So the private non-financial sector's credit to GDP ratio, which has risen from 58.8% in 2000 to 113.6% by 2010, came down to 83.8% in 2018. So it first increased, but after that it decreased. So from 2010 to 2018 it has decreased. So this becomes wrong. The monthly gross collections under GST regime approximately doubled from 2018 to 2023. So the GST system has shown improved buoyancy. Yes, that is true. Earlier the number of tax collection was very less, but since the time GST has come, the tax collection has risen. So the rising average monthly gross collections from 0.9 lakh in 2018 to 1.5 lakh in 2023. So it has approximately doubled. Now this is also correct. So we have to talk about the correct statement. First is correct, third is correct, second is wrong. It means 2 only. So the correct answer is option B. Now moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements and we have to talk about the correct statements. So there are 2 statements. First, India has achieved its goal for reducing the emission intensity of its GDP by 33% from the 2005 level by the year 2019. So from 2005 to 2019, decrease by 33%. Then second, India has already met the target of achieving about 40% cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy resources by 2030. Non-fossil fuel means moving away from coal or fossil fuel and moving towards the renewable energy, like for example wind, water, solar. So we have to talk about the correct statement. So let's see. The significant growth in India's installed solar energy capacity, it has indeed increased by more than 25 times. So this indicates substantial progress in harnessing solar energy as part of India's climate action efforts. So this is right. Then second, India's external debt as a ratio to GDP decreased from 22.4% from 2013 to 18.6% 2023. So this shows that the decline has been there. So statement 1 becomes correct and statement 2 also becomes Correct. So the correct answer for this question is option C, that is both 1 and 2. Now question number 8. It talks about the National Logistics Policy 2022 aims to modernize infrastructure. What is the potential long-term impact of this policy? It is asking about the long-term impact and National Logistics Policy. So let's see. There are 4 statements. Long-term impact. First, immediate increase in foreign direct investment in all sectors. It is asking about the long-term impact and it is talking about the immediate increase. So this becomes wrong. Very easy. Then short-term disruption in domestic supply chains. Again, it is talking about the short-term. The question is asking about the long-term. This also becomes wrong. Then long-term enhancement of India's competitiveness in the global market. This is correct. Increased reliance on imported technology and expertise. So if the logistics policy will do well, then the long-term impact would be decreased reliance. So if the logistics policy will do well, then why would the reliance on outside things would be increased? It will be decreased. So the correct answer for this question is option C. So this can be inferred to enhance India's competitiveness in the global market by improving infrastructure and logistics. And as of now, the infrastructure of the country is improving when we talk about roads, railways or ports, which are key factors in global trade and competitiveness. Now, next question. Which of the following statements are not correct? So there are out of these 4 statements which is not correct. A. From fiscal year 13 to fiscal year 23, India's merchandise exports grew by more than 50% and services exports by 120%. From 13 to 23, merchandise and services. Second, over the years, there has been a decrease in the diversification of India's export baskets. Third, India is the largest recipient of worker remittances in the world. I think this is a statement which I think everyone should know, that India receives the highest remittance in the world. So this is correct. Software services exports comprise almost half of the services exports consistently. This is also correct, because when we talk about the services sector and the export to the services sector, then it is the software services which comprises of majority of the section, and when we say majority of the section, it is much more than 50%. Then the India's merchandise exports grew by more than 50%, that is also correct, and services export by 120%. This is also correct, as this is a factual data. Over the years, there has been a decrease in the diversification of India's export basket. This is wrong, because there has been an increase in India's export basket. So the correct answer is option B. Let's see this. There has been a progressive diversification in India's export basket. Progressive diversification. It means the diversification is happening and it is happening progressively over the years, and there is scope for adding more quality and complexity to exports given the existing capability. More quality and complexity. So the correct answer is option B. Now, last question, and it is a practice question. So you people will tell me the answer of this question in the comment section, and I will be waiting to read the answer which you people give. In the context of the Internet in India report, consider the following statements. So there are 2 statements. Internet penetration in India crossed the 50% mark in 2022. Second, internet penetration has expanded more than 3-fold since 2014. Internet penetration has always been a very hot topic of discussion. So, internet penetration in India crossed the 50% mark in 2022. Internet penetration has expanded more than 3-fold since 2014. So, these are the 2 statements. You have to talk about the correct option. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. So, give me the answer in the comment section. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time. Keep reading, keep writing, and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.